After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far. This is a 4-slot toaster that is clearly meant for people who actually use a toaster a lot, not just once in a while. If you are making breakfast for more than one person, if you toast bagels often, or if you buy thicker sliced bread that never seems to fit in a normal toaster, this one is built around those everyday annoyances. What makes it different in day-to-day use is not some wild feature. It is mainly the way it handles 4 slices at once, the fact that the slots are genuinely wide, and the way the controls are separated so you are not forced into one setting for everything. It feels like it was designed by someone who has watched toast come out uneven, watched bagels get stuck, and watched 2 people argue over how dark the toast should be. On the counter, it is a stainless steel toaster with those red control knobs that stand out. I like that it is easy to grab and turn the knobs without feeling like I am going to snap something off. The body feels solid when I press the levers down. It does not scoot around on the counter when I use it, and it does not feel hollow like cheaper toasters sometimes do. It is also the kind of appliance you will notice sitting out, for better or worse. I do think it looks clean, but if you prefer everything to blend in, the red knobs are going to draw your eye. Setup is basically nothing. I took it out, wiped it down, ran it empty once to burn off that new appliance smell, and then started using it normally. The crumb tray slides out easily, and that matters more than I expected, because I actually clean it more often when it is not annoying. It catches a lot, especially if you are using flaky bread or bagels. When I forget to empty it for a while, it still does its job, but you will smell toasted crumbs if you really let it go too long. That is not unique to this toaster. It is just a reality of using any toaster regularly. Daily use is straightforward. There are controls for the left pair of slots and controls for the right pair of slots. In my kitchen, that has been more useful than I thought. I tend to like a lighter toast, especially with softer sandwich bread, and I like my bagels a little more toasted on the cut side. When I am making breakfast for someone else, I can set one side darker without having to run a second cycle or watch the clock and pop one side early. It makes the routine smoother. The extra wide slots are not just a label. I tried a thick sliced bakery loaf that normally either jams or needs to be forced into my older toaster. Here it went in cleanly. I also did a standard bagel, a wider bagel, and some bulky grocery store Texas toast. None of them got stuck. The lift height is good too, so I can grab smaller pieces without digging around with my fingers. That sounds small, but it is one of those things you notice every morning. Toasting performance has been consistent for me once I learned where my preferred settings were. With basic white sandwich bread, I got an even toast across the surface, without those pale bands in the middle that I see on a lot of toasters. With wheat bread, which can be a little trickier because it browns differently, it still came out fairly uniform. When I intentionally mix slices, like one piece of soft sandwich bread and one denser artisan slice on the same side, I still got usable results, but I could tell the denser slice needed more time. That is not a flaw as much as it is the reality of different breads. The bagel mode has been useful. It focuses more heat on the cut side, so the inside gets crisp while the outside stays more like warmed bread. When it works well, it gives you that nice contrast where the cut side has texture, but the bagel is still easy to bite through. On a very fresh bagel that is already soft, I sometimes bump the setting slightly higher than I would for regular toast just to get the cut side where I want it. The frozen setting is another one I actually use. I keep bread in the freezer so it does not go bad, and I hate when a toaster browns the outside before the center is properly warmed. With frozen mode on, it takes longer, but the result is closer to what I want. The bread comes out warmed through and browned instead of feeling like it is toasted on the surface but still cold in the middle. I also appreciate the cancel button in real life. I use it more than I expected, usually when I realize I grabbed the wrong bread, or I can smell it getting darker than I want. It stops the cycle and lifts the bread, and I do not have to wait for it to finish. A few practical notes after using it for a while. This toaster is not small. It takes up a good amount of counter space, especially compared to a basic 2-slice model. If your counter is tight, you will feel that. It also gets warm on the outside during repeated cycles, like when I am doing several rounds for a group. It has never felt unsafe, but I notice the heat when I touch the top area after back-to-back toasting. Another thing is that you still have to learn your settings. The knob positions are consistent, but bread is unpredictable. A fresh soft bread toasts differently than a slightly stale slice. A cold kitchen changes things a bit. A bagel from the freezer needs a different approach than one from the fridge. Once I found my normal range, it has been repeatable, but I would not expect perfection on day one without a little trial and error. One more limitation, and this is small but worth saying out loud. This is a toaster. There is no mobile app. There is no phone control, and I honestly do not want one. What matters here is whether it makes toast the way you like every morning without drama. In that sense, it has been reliable for me. So overall, my impression is that this toaster is built for people who care about daily consistency, who toast different types of bread, or who regularly need 4 slots. It feels sturdy, it is easy to live with, and the independent controls actually solve a real problem if 2 people like their toast differently. The downsides are mostly practical, like the footprint on the counter, and the fact that you still need to dial in settings for your specific bread. If you are only making 1 slice now and then, it is probably more toaster than you need. If you are using a toaster constantly and you are tired of uneven results or tight slots, this one has been easy to use and easy to trust. I will post full information about the Wolf Gourmet 4-slice extra-wide slot toaster in the comments section. See you in the following videos.